Okay, so just arriving here at the conference on day one, if you're a Vision Expo veteran, you will know that this hallway in the Sands, or I guess now Venetian Expo, is always packed to get into the conference at the beginning of the day. And it's somewhat less dense this year, which may be a tip-off that the crowds are somewhat smaller than usual. Definitely feels less dense than 2019. But of course, the show doors haven't opened yet, so everyone's congregating outside. And one of the first things I noticed almost immediately when I walked onto the floor is that there were fewer vendors. And the vendors that were there typically had smaller booths than I was used to seeing. You can sort of look here and see the wide spaces between the booths as well. And the fact that the exhibits are moved in towards the center. And these are all tip-offs that the show is actually smaller than in years past, certainly smaller than the last time I was here in 2019. And one reason for that is consolidation. Here at the Visionics booth, you can see that they acquired OptiView, and they obviously now share a single booth, whereas in the past they would have had two booths. So that's one less vendor for Vision Expo to court. Again, you can see, just looking around the show floor, right now it's about 10 a.m. The show opened about a half hour ago. And as you can see, after that initial rush, it looks like not so dense here right now, even right at the front where you would expect relatively large crowds. Maybe people wait. Maybe people don't show up at sort of the first hour because classes are going on, or maybe they come later hoping for free food or booze, etc. Right now, not so much here. Expo East has more eyewear, or at least they organize it differently, whereas it's much more of a distinct show. It's on a completely separate floor. But you can get a sense. It just doesn't seem as large as in the past. Still some smaller vendors over here, and some Asian vendors as well. You know, you can still get some deals over here if you're willing to shop, especially the smaller vendors. But my sense of it is that it is definitely smaller than it was. On the floor, at least, I know that many of the vendors have set up private suites that they're inviting people to go to. So you can get a real sense of all this. So again, this is telling. This is an alley right behind the eyewear section, and you can see again that opens up to nothingness. This is the area behind. So for the vendors that are here on the eyewear side, of course, ROI is going to be everything. So the question is going to be how much of the merchandise can they move at the show. It's a little bit different for the pharmaceutical companies and even the equipment companies. So this is a pretty good example of what some of the smaller vendors are trying to do, right? They're promoting their deals by throwing their pamphlets on tables. So very much the frame manufacturers are in a selling mode here, and I guess that's the whole point of Vision Expo, as opposed to other conferences, right? That's why people come here, or at least why many people do. I still don't understand why people come to Las Vegas to take CE. If I'm going through the expense and danger of traveling and time away from the office, I kind of wonder, like, why would I spend my time doing that as opposed to doing this and seeing and touching things that I can't possibly do online. So one interesting thing here at the ABO NCLE booth, they're giving away all kinds of swag, like the stress balls and so forth, chip clips and stuff. The swag has definitely changed over the years too. It used to be a lot more t-shirts and so forth and bigger things. And as the conference has evolved, you're getting smaller stuff. Not as exciting. But yeah, at least it's a nice stress ball, right? And I think one way to assess the health of the field itself is just by looking at the number of small vendors that are at a trade show like this. And one thing that I've noticed at this one, at least compared to 2019, is that the number of actual startups, as in companies that I've never heard of or seen before, it's much lower than at prior events. We're not seeing, too many new ones. I'm in the section of the show right now, the 5,000s, 4,000s, where you'll see a lot of the smaller companies. I'm assuming the booths are cheaper back here. The smaller companies that you might not have heard of before, and or some of the newer startup technology. So for instance, the Redival, you might remember we did a webinar on them, and they have a booth over there. So good to see that they're here. But for the most part, you can see it is just not very dense over here anymore. The number of actual small companies you're seeing is really low. So it's kind of a shame. All right. Hey Art, check it out. There you are. I got your protege here, and there's you up on the screen.
And there was the NAR text.
There you go. Hope you feel better, Art. We really miss you here. It's not Expo without you, so hopefully I'll catch up with you soon in person. So this is like worlds colliding here. So Richard and Lisa.
She's the traditionalist, right?
What does that mean? Okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Hello world. That's a camera?
It is a camera.
I'm excited to meet Dr. Thomas in person.
Streaming live.
I've listened to his lectures and talked to him on ODwire, and now it's like
You didn't hear me rant for an hour last week, did you?
What was that?
First thing in the morning on Sunday?
It was awesome.
Man, I was sitting there saying stuff and then regretting it like 10 seconds later. I'm like, I should have said that. Oh, that was not right. Oh, that was too much. Then we just kept going.
It was just perfect.
And then I looked up, it was an hour later.
You're going to drive your joystick. I don't know if you want to drive your joystick in until you see retina, hit auto adjust, so the machine automatically finds the retina and gets it into focus.
We're back here on the show floor. We actually have LCT here with us. And of course, Alan Panzer.
The two craziest guys on ODwire.
Yes, testing out the objective field device here at Conan. So
Did you do it already? You okay?
I did too.
This is cool stuff, huh? Wait and see it. They're not all that calm, by the way.
yeah, wow.
Because you see in the green, that means all the readings were very good.
And then where does it feed to? Is it feed
So here's the Schneider Modulo. If you feel like setting up your own lab and have $1 million lying around, you too can have one of these units. It requires one person to run and can do 40 cases an hour.
Again, back to that quality piece, I think if you want to do something for the macula, you know what the macular carotenoids are. There's 3 carotenoids, lutein, zeaxanthin and mesozeaxanthin. So they're the carotenoids you should use. If you want to do something for the vitreous in terms of micronutrition, you can now use the information that's been provided that they're there.
Gretchen Bailey once described Vision Expo as an equipment petting zoo, and I think that description is still apt today. This is probably still the best show to go to if you want to get a broad sense of what the equipment vendors are doing, what the pharmaceutical companies are doing, and what the industry as a whole is doing. So despite the somewhat smaller crowd this year, I would still say this is a show worth going to, and I know that I will be back at Vision Expo, both Vision Expo East in New York coming up in the spring, and again back in Vegas next fall. So I hope this little video helped out if you couldn't make it to the show this year. And as always, feel free to leave comments in the ODwire thread running right beneath this video.